Hello, hello, attention please. May I get your attention please? Okay. Mr. Glenn, your time is over now. Now this is time for the water and urban development sector to shine. May I request you now please to take your seat so we can start the session. May I request you please to take your seats? So we are going to start the session now. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for coming for this session. I'm glad to have a big number of participants for this session, and I hope you are going to enjoy this one. We have 1 hour for this session. In this session, we are going to talk about water, urban, and rural development projects. In this, we have 4 panel members who are going to talk briefly about their respective portfolios. And also, they are going to talk about what are the country and the sector level strategies, what are the opportunities and the sector in the loans and the grants, as well as the technical assistance, what are the opportunities, and also what are the key challenges and the issues that we are facing in this sector. So we are looking forward not only to share the information with you guys, but also we want to hear back from you how you can help us to bring the innovation, use of the more technology, and how efficiently and effectively we can deliver our projects. So this is a two-way communication. Our colleagues, panel members are going to share their information. After their presentations, we are going to open up the floor for the Q&A. So when you ask your question, we kindly request you to please briefly introduce yourself, your company's name, and then the question. Also, these slides will be shared later after the presentation. So as my colleague earlier mentioned, no need to take the pictures or the selfies. Just focus on the presenter. So maybe let me open now, request my panel members to be on the stage. And I'm going to briefly introduce all of you. May I request you please to come on the stage? Okay, thank you very much. So let me talk very briefly about Jaemin Nam. He is a senior urban development specialist working with ADB in the past and ADB about 25 years. And he has an experience in the South, Southeast, and Central Western Asia. His areas of expertise include water supply, sanitation, PPP, and long-term sustainability. So he is a wealth of experience, not only with ADB, but outside ADB as well. The next speaker is going to be Miss Aimee Hampel. Aimee is an urban development specialist and economist working in this sector. Also, she works in the supply sanitation, she does economic analysis of investment projects, private sector development, tech startups, entrepreneurship, and business environment. Currently, she is processing and implementing solid waste management projects in the Solomon and Marshall Islands, and is also supporting the due diligence and economic analysis of the urban development projects in Southeast and the Pacific. The third panel member we have is Mr. Jude Kohlhase. I hope I pronounced properly. Jude has over 20 years of planning experience in identification of the concept and the design implementation of the projects in the multidisciplinary projects in public and the private sector. Over the last 10 years, Jude has worked with the Asian Development Bank and has been responsible for the sovereign operations in water, urban development, climate resilience, energy, transportation, housing sector. During this period, he has also served in the project processing administration in Pacific as well as the Central West and South Asia. And our last panel member is Ms. Ramola Naik, Singru. Ms. Singru is leading policy dialogue strategy, investment projects, and technical assistance for development, livable cities, green, inclusive, competitive, and delivering climate resilience, urban infrastructure and services with the focus on affordable housing, tourism, and subnational finance. She leads innovation, initiatives for the livable city, regional cooperation, and tourism. So this is a very, very brief introduction of our panel member. They have the wealth of knowledge and experience. So I will just now request our first panel member, Mr. Jaemin, to please present. Thank you.
Thank you, Rubina. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jaemin. I'm Senior Urban Development Specialist. I'm currently working as Unit Head of Project Management of Central West and East Asia team on the Water and Urban Development team. So anyway, thank you for being with us here today. Today I briefly describe our region's project, as well as I try to provide some information to help you better understand of ADB project. So, yeah, I will start with the overview of our team. Actually, our team is covering 10 countries in Central and West Asia, from Pakistan to Georgia. And also we also covers 2 East Asian countries, which is China and Mongolia. Mainly our project covers basic urban infrastructure to improve people's livability, mainly focusing on water supply, wastewater management, as well as solid waste management, and finally integrated urban development project. This is our main area. And next slide shows our overall approach. Actually, our project is in line with each country's development strategy, as well as ADB's country partnership strategy. We have 3 main focuses. The first is promoting inclusive economic growth and building resilience to climate change. And recently, we are supporting strengthening private sector development as well. And next slide shows the lending pipeline for this year. So we are working for 8 projects for this year. As of now, 5 projects were approved, and 4 projects will be approved by the end of November. And the next slide shows our pipeline project for next 2 years. In each year, we are currently planning 6 projects. And this project are still indicative. But the project will be finally decided based on the government request, as well as ADB's funding availability. Sorry. Yeah, and next the slide shows our team's no-lending program pipeline for the next 2 years, mainly about technical assistance program. So for the next 2 years, we will implement 7 TAs next year, as well as 9 TAs in 2024. And then now I want to provide some detailed information about our project, as well as large packages. The first project is about DREAMS project in Pakistan. Actually, this project is supposed to be approved in November, but this is a very brand new project. The main output of this project is to establish water supply system, as well as solid waste management system in Pakistan. So by the end of next year, we expect there will be 4 large packages, including 3 works packages and 1 consulting packages. And then this next project is Yerevan Urban Development Investment Project in Armenia. In fact, this project was approved last Friday. So mainly this project is focusing on the establishing new urban road as well as green park. So we expect that two large packages, one works and one consulting packages will be advertised within this year. And then next project is the Shaanxi project in China. So this project is somehow covering the integrated urban development, mainly about urban road, wastewater treatment, as well as public spaces for the people. So we expect that 4 large packages, 3 works and 1 goods packages will be advertised by the end of next year. And then this is the last project which I want to introduce today. So this project is Mongolia project with IMAX, Zoom's Green Development Project. Actually, this project was already approved in March 2023 this year. So mainly, this project is to develop sub-center near Ulaanbaatar city. So this project, in the case of Mongolia, once the project is approved, the detailed design starts. So because of that, the expected packages about consulting packages. So 2 large consulting packages will be advertised next year. And then this is the last slide which include the issues which I want to share with you today. So I summarize 3 main issues. The first is comprehensive site survey and robust detailed design. Recently, ADB encouraged our government to adopt design-build or design-build-operate contract modality, especially for large water supply and wastewater treatment project, mainly to sustain project asset during the implementation. So because of that, we request the contractor to prepare detailed design as well as a long-term operational plan. So this is one of our latest trends. And then second one is innovative but affordable solutions. ADB always requests the government, to adopt latest technology. But sometimes, when we review the contractor's proposals, it is very innovative but not affordable to our client. So this is the second issue. And then the last issue is that I think all the potential contractors should be familiar with ADB's various procurement method. So of course, open comparative bidding is the basic, but if you look at the details, the procurement method is divided into various methods. So, but this contract procurement method is decided based on project nature, complexity. So also all the requirement is different. So my suggestion is that potential bidders should be familiar with ADB's procurement method. So this is all. I stop here. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Jaemin. May I request now, Aimee? Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. I'm not very tall, so you would have to bear with me. And apologize for my voice because I've been having a lot of meetings these days, as you know. But I'm very happy to represent Southeast Asia and Pacific. So we are the biggest conglomeration of countries in the water and urban sector development. We are 23 countries. And we are having a lot of projects. We are looking forward to working with you, both as firms and as consultants. I am also the project development unit lead. So I co-lead that. I'm so sorry. Well, my job is to basically recruit. So I'm very looking forward to meeting all of you. One important thing I'd like to say is my email address, so that, because I have a lot of slides, I'll probably breeze through some of the slides. My email address is ahampel@adb.org. ahampel@adb.org. That's in the program. Please email me. I'll fly through the presentation. If you have any questions, I will do my best to refer you to the project team leader. Thank you very much. Next slide. Oh, sorry. Yes. So that's ahampel@adb.org. Thank you. All right. So we have a lot of operations in the Pacific. This shows our active operations as of November 2022. In the Pacific, our biggest portfolio is in the FSM, so Micronesia, in Kiribati. We also have in Tonga, as well as in the Solomon Islands. This will be available to you, so I'm just gonna fly. In Southeast Asia, our biggest portfolios are in Vietnam with 733 million and Cambodia with 675 million. And we have a lot of other projects. Photo taken? So here's our lending pipeline for, indicative lending pipeline for 2023 to 2025. This is the first slide of that. We have the 2023, 2024, and 2025. The green ones, dark green ones, are where the concept has been approved, so we are pretty sure we are developing that. And the lighter ones, the concepts have not yet been approved. So we always have to take this with a grain of salt, please, because we never know what will happen between now until project approval. So please take that with a grain of salt. This is for Southeast Asia and the Pacific. And if you would see, so it's continuous. This is the second part of the slide. Basically, we have 2 projects for this year, indicatively 15 projects for next year, and indicatively 12 projects for 2025. So we need your help, we need your support. We're looking forward to working with you. At the bottom of the screen, you will see how much is the volume for each year for the projects that are in our pipeline. Okay. So this is a detailed list of the projects with the project team leaders. And concept approval is also there. See the dates and how much the ADB financing is. So there are a lot of names there, and if you paid attention to the first part of my presentation, you should know my email address. I'll link you up if you ask nicely. Thank you. This is our non-lending pipeline. This is our TA. Again, indicative, please. So some of these big TAs are very big. They are supporting project processing. So within these TAs, there are opportunities as well, and they also support several projects, so not just one project. For the most recent one that we will have, which is 4.7 million, right now we are looking at empaneling a lot of consultants. That means having them on board for a long period of time, and then just providing them with TORs later for the tasks. Okay. So here are where the opportunities are, explicitly for the next 18 months. The advertisement date is on the rightmost, and some of them are really coming very, very soon, some even for 2023, particularly Cambodia. The dates may change, but watch out for these projects. We have particularly large opportunity in Indonesia because we recently processed and had a project approved in Indonesia. So it looks particularly large, but let me explain. This is similar packages, just in different locations. So it's the same thing, but managed in different locations. So there's lots of opportunities there, almost similar components. In the Pacific, we also have 3 projects. One going right now is the Kiribati, the South Tarawa Water Supply Project. November 14, the bidding ends. That's particularly large. And this is for Tonga. And the project team leader just arrived yesterday, and this is also in a good shape. So, other opportunities for consulting services. This is for project supervision and contract management. We have particularly large one for Timor-Leste. This is the Dili West Water Supply Project. And then the rest, the Indonesia project, which I said is being implemented in 3 cities. And Cambodia, Laos, and Philippines is under advanced actions. So these are very, very soon. Please watch out for that. So the issues and challenges that we have, this is particular to the Pacific. What do you need to expect if you will work with us? There's a weak capacity of implementing agencies. And quite low government ownership. We really have to push for that. In the Pacific, a lot of the prices go up after the initial bid has occurred. It's because of cost of freight. We have to deal with that. And there's limited bidders. It's just really a difficult and very far away place to work with. But we have bidders. It's just it's not as much as in the other regions. We do have procurement and consultant recruitment issues. Quite slow because the government needs to get used to the process. And of course, land is a particular issue. So for solid waste, for example, where you need land, there's a lot of problems with that. Sorry. Other issues and challenges, this is particular to Southeast Asia. So Southeast Asia, more of the countries are advanced as compared to the Pacific. So we do see a lower level of project readiness because we cannot provide project readiness financing for them. So it has to be done through TA, technical assistance. So what we see is weak contract management and issues related to procurement. The consultants that we get sometimes are not very good. The performance is quite low in terms of contractors and consultants. And we also have delay. We experience delays, particularly government, on the government side, related to prolonged procurement. And yeah, low project readiness. It's similar. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Aimee. Thank you very much. Now may I request Jude?
Thank you, Rubina. Greetings, everyone. Good afternoon. So my name is Jude. I'm representing this afternoon the discussion briefly on the South Asian operations that we currently have and what we're proposing to do over the next 3 years. Just briefly about me and my current role in the bank. So for our sector team, I'm managing the portfolio across the regions as well as our various sector teams. And we're also, part of my role over the last 2 months has also been continuing my stewardship, as you would say, over South Asia. So I'm very pleased to be here to offer you guys some insight into our operations across India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, and the Maldives. It's a pleasure. I've met some of the faces in the room, so I really appreciate this opportunity to get to know you, but also to suggest areas where you could focus in supporting us deliver with our clients. So you may have heard, as part of our project cycle, we tend to start off with negotiating with government on ADB's partnership with our clients. These are usually 4-year partnership strategies where we identify where we would focus in supporting the development priorities of those countries. So we've got a couple of strategies that are also currently being reviewed and updated. These are 12-month discussions and programming around what the indicative pipeline would look like, negotiating where the focus would be, potentially highlighting ADB's competitive advantages in various areas, in collaboration as well with our development partners, where we may see some areas where we could co-finance in leveraging financing to our countries. We use those opportunities to bring a little bit more financing to the table. In terms of our pipeline building, we've got a strong focus on trying to make cities a lot more livable in South Asia. So this is something that we're quite keen to discuss with our clients, how we could extend that support, particularly looking at climate resilience and low carbon development with increased climate financing, with the bank's goal over the next 10 years, few years to reach 100 billion in climate financing, as well as looking at integrated solutions, no longer just focused on our traditional water supply coverage, but how could that service also be extended out to supporting other urban amenities and services to support the beneficiaries. And a big part of that as well is also looking at the bigger picture within these cities, planning, urban planning, master planning, and how that interconnects with any improvement investments that could be done, either in the immediate, short-term or long-term, and identify where we could potentially add some value. And lastly, particular with the bank's shift in focus on private sector participation, how can we improve credit worthiness and municipal resource mobilization to encourage and enhance financial sustainability of a lot of these assets that we support the governments in producing, ensuring that they are sustainable. This is just repeating what I just said without the illustrations. So, in terms of our pipeline, for the immediate year that we're dealing with now, we've got a range of projects that have been approved and are to be approved. Pleased to say that a lot of it has been cleared. We're just at the final stages in the last quarter to try and get our final approvals. I would like to distinguish some of our financing products, I guess, just for your information, with results-based lending, the RBL modality. This is an opportunity for the government to use their own country systems, and sometimes we also appreciate the procurement systems in those countries a little bit more sophisticated, where this may apply, where we generally give the financing to the country and monitor and verify the results that are achieved, and therefore they get access to this financing. Similar to policy-based lending, there are opportunities where the ADB can support government's fiscal situation and supporting reforms around particular public sector areas. I think last year we also approved a major PBL to India, and we're continuing that with this year as well. And additional financing usually means that there's cost overruns. So there is areas where we'd either try and address those cost overruns or also look at increasing the scope of the original project, expanding coverage of various activities. In India is a big chunk of our operations. So you can see there we have a variety of focus across various states in India, Nepal and Bangladesh as well for this year's pipeline. For 24, looking outward, typically we would try to ensure that these commitments are made this year by securing project concept, so that we can process these projects very quickly over the next 12 months, ensure that our commitment to the government is maintained and supporting our clients in delivering. The project offices, again, probably is an area that you should pay particular attention to. If there are particular projects or countries that are of striking interest for you, we would encourage you to reach out to those project offices. Jaemin, Aimee, Ramola, and myself would be responsible for maybe a couple of projects, but we don't have full coverage over everything. So we do encourage you to reach out to any of us and we can put you into touch. And also to be wary of our procurement plans, which is publicly available, and that gives you an insight as to our potential pipeline activities where you may be interested in engaging with the client on. I won't get into this list, but our 25 pipeline is certainly packed, full of various activities. We're trying to ensure that we can hit a target of, I think, 2.7 billion in 25. We've also got non-lending activities similar to our other regional departments, where we're looking at supporting either processing or preparation of projects. We also have attached technical assistance to support projects that are approved as we speak, and those attached technical assistants will support the implementation, looking at what value addition could be, supporting policy reforms in the sector to support the government implement the project and have the loan or the financing focus in on the actual capital investments while the technical assistants look at the advisory services. More of the same across the region. So coming down to the projects that may be of interest, I don't want to dwell too much, but we've listed areas where you could be interested in over the next 6 to 12 months to pay attention to when these come out. Largely small or large works are coming through, particularly in India. It was mentioned earlier that these are indicative dates, sometimes with scoping activities, reviews of tender bidding documents, and our approval process. This could slip for whatever reason. In Nepal, with the second Kathmandu Valley water supply project, we've got a couple of activities where design and supervision services would be required. So these are also areas that may be of interest to you. We've got a Nepal project also with urban resilience likely to be approved Q4. So these again, potential opportunities looking at supporting the project implementation, both in civil works and consulting services as well. The list is huge. Bangladesh. And not to exclude our smaller groups, so Sri Lanka, Maldives, and Bhutan. There are a couple of projects that are ongoing that may be of interest, a bit far to reach, but certainly an area where we're looking at some innovations that could be brought in by either your services or just working on this project is going to be very important for our clients. So if there's any interest, excellent. We've also got a gender inclusive project in the Maldives. We've got a waste to energy project, not listed here. A lot of those procurement activities are done. But just to give you an insight as to where the urban services scope is expanded to, and Sri Lanka. The issues and challenges you may have heard with our other groups, lack of or low project readiness, meaning that we're not, the implementation period is a bit delayed, so it could be anywhere between 6 to 12 months before we get our first contract award. Obviously a focus on improving project management, startup activities is a focus, and an area where we're trying to ensure that there is discipline so that by project approval, you'd have at least some of the major contracts awarded by then. India seems to be our most disciplined of clients, so they're very aggressive, and we support that practice across the region, and an area that we try and help them strengthen and improve on. Lack of capacity of EA and consultants in project design, procurement, project and contract management, so there's plenty of room to try and improve and support us in delivering successful projects. Again, I won't dwell too much. One area of interest is this frequent rebidding that happens. Sometimes it's quality of the documents where the scoping activities haven't been refined, where there are poor participants in some of these bids or unqualified bidders. So this does result in us going back to the market. And in some instances, this could be twice, 3. By the 4th time, I think everyone's needing to revisit the procurement strategy and figuring out what's the best practice going forward to provide a quick solution for the client. But certainly an area that we, as the procurement team, try to address and hopefully avoid in the future. In terms of, so I skipped one slide, I'll just jump to the way forward. We're continuing to strengthen our collaboration with the resident missions. Essentially, the coalface of a lot of our operations is the countries where ADB has this very strong presence and very strong focal of urban specialists that support us from the ground, and the team here in HQ as well, also offering that support. We are, like I'd mentioned, with India's strong case of high readiness, trying to employ that across the region is something that we continue to strive on, have continual discussions with, and highlight also in our country partnership strategies to try and improve the procurement practices there and project readiness to, I guess, deliver successful projects for the client. Strengthen project implementation, safeguards compliance is very important. Financial management as well, with fiduciary responsibilities to be complied with according to our financing agreements. Procurement and contract management to ensure that these reach a successful conclusion. And something that we will continue to do no matter, I've seen this in all of our projects, is building capacity across the range of topics I've just mentioned with our executing agencies and client countries. And on that note, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jude. Now may I request Ramola, please, to present.
Good afternoon. Before I begin, can I have a show of hands? How many of you know what is NOM? Substantial. But I'm about to, the reason I'm asking is because under the NOM, that is the new operating model for ADB, we have a new and dynamic, small and dynamic team called the Emerging Areas team, which I'm a part of, and my director sitting very quietly there is a very dynamic director, Mr. Srinivas Sampath, who's leading this small team towards innovation. And the areas that we cover are, for the initial focus is really looking at sustainable tourism, affordable housing, and sub-sovereign, non-sovereign, and subnational finance. So this is a bit of a broad scope, but we also cover all of the countries. So it's going to be a challenge, but at the same time, it's very exciting because ADB stepped into something which we have not been doing previously or not doing much of. And that is where the new opportunities lie, but also the new challenges. So today, this is not so much of a Q&A where you need to ask questions, but here we are asking you questions. What is the capacity? What are the skills that all of you can bring together to help us deliver this very ambitious program that we have going forward? So what kind of work are we doing? We are looking at sustainable tourism. Some of you are aware of the Livable Cities project in Georgia, which was quite a flagship project bringing together multi-sector projects ranging from kindergartens to sports complexes to cultural heritage upgrading. And that is more of the kind of integrated urban development projects that we will see going forward, because we are also looking at upstream planning. My colleagues have actually covered quite a few of the projects that our team actually manages. So I'm not going to go into the details of the packages, but give you much more of a flavor of what's coming forward. And in the next 3 to 5 years, what you're going to see as a change based on the demands that we are seeing from our countries. So we have some projects in environmental management and sustainable tourism in the Kyrgyz Republic. We have Lao PDR, Uzbekistan, another integrated urban development project. We have some very good projects in India, ongoing in Himachal Pradesh and others, but also forthcoming. There are tourism opportunities. Largely, we see that there's Central Asia is very active. They want to have more tourism projects. Southeast Asia, a lot is happening. It is definitely the area where people are going. So we have to think more about green and blue infrastructure to support sustainable tourism. And then, of course, there's the subcontinent in India, Bhutan, Nepal. While we look at tourism, and there's also the other initiatives which go along with it, which is the Regional Cooperation Initiative. So we link in with something like the CARIC tourism strategy, and also in South Asia, and then we have in Southeast, the Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand sub-regional growth triangle, or the GMS, the Greater Mekong region. These are all these all enable the development of the tourism projects, but then they are implemented through our water and urban development sector group. Going forward, we are also looking at affordable housing. We've not worked much on social and affordable housing or green housing, and we see that there is a rising need and demand for these kind of projects. Particularly right now, the focus is India, Philippines, Uzbekistan. We have projects in Bhutan and Mongolia. The team leader for the Bhutan project, Jude, is also here, so you can ask him a bit more about it, putting you on the spot. We have a request for working with the government. All of you are aware of the floods in Pakistan last year, and that affected a lot of people in the Sindh province, so we would be supporting the flood affectees in reconstruction, and that is coming up in Pakistan next year. We also want to ensure that we are not just looking at housing, but also the policy environment and supporting a more inclusive urban development. And that means looking at accessibility, inclusive housing, age-friendly housing, and ensuring social inclusion. The other area that we would engage in, initially upstream, but later also downstream, would be on a green housing certification or green building certification, and in improving energy efficiency. We've just established an energy efficiency task force, so there's going to be much more happening in that area in terms of buildings and programs. On the subnational finance, we have non-sovereign operations currently ongoing in Vietnam, Indonesia, and Philippines. But increasingly, we would like to see a lot more where we can provide support to the local government units to improve their creditworthiness, work with them on municipal finance, green bonds, municipal bonds, and also working on sovereign guaranteed loans. Improving the utilities creditworthiness. My colleague spoke earlier about sustainability, and that is where I think a lot of our work will go in, supporting utilities and working directly with the utility companies as well, and having direct loans to utility companies. So that is what the future is looking like, but we need a lot of upstream work as well to get there. You'll see that on the legend, the green stands for the tourism. We have housing projects and non-sovereign projects. But if you see in the next 3 years, we have non-sovereign projects in 2023. But that's because we are right now in the stage where we are developing this very new area for us, because this is the first time that this team is coming together to put together non-sovereign and sovereign. So we will see how this develops, and maybe by next year you'll see a much larger pipeline going through. These projects were also covered by my colleagues. We have something in Kyrgyz Republic. There's a cool project coming up next year. Support for Sindh housing, sustainable tourism in Himachal Pradesh, about 125 million. Project. There's the second phase of Tamil Nadu housing, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable housing. That is quite a unique project. It also has non-sovereign, sovereign elements, so it's quite an innovative project. And then we have the sustainable tourism SDP in Sri Lanka. You will notice that a lot of the 2025 pipeline is basically tourism, but when you actually go into some of the detailed packages, there would be solid waste management, there would be water supply and sanitation. So it's because we are looking at it much more in an integrated urban development and planning aspect. So it is not just that we are looking at tourism infrastructure, it would be a lot more of neighborhood development and overall master planning and providing integrated solutions. So while they are tagged as tourism, there will be substantial water and urban development services in these. Non-lending pipeline, our TA support. We have a lot of work which we do with the regional teams through the ongoing TAs and the project readiness financing. So some of our projects would be supported through that. But we would also be processing some new technical assistance and tourism facility coming up next year. These really are going to look at building a pipeline and scaling up these kind of projects. So the skill sets that we would need would be quite multi-sector, urban planning, housing experts, housing finance, municipal finance experts, also tourism experts, and cultural heritage conservation and restoration experts. These are the opportunities. I think these have been repeated in the previous presentations, but it gives you a glimpse. We'll be sharing the presentation so you can look at some of these later. And quite a few are coming up in 2024, 2023, 2024. But you will notice something here which is different from what the traditional water supply or urban development packages that you've seen. These are much more smaller in volume, but they are kind of quite niche. And that's where I think we would really like to understand what is the skill set available to us, because at the end of the day, you are all working with us to implement these projects. So we would really like to hear from you about how this new business line is going to impact our operations as well. And yeah, finally, there are these other projects coming up in India, which we mentioned, Uzbekistan and Bhutan. So talking about the issues and challenges, this is what I would really kind of spend some time hearing from you. These are food for thought for you. That we have seen that some of the initial packages when we had, say, in Georgia or other places for restoration or cultural heritage restoration, we did not get as many bids. In fact, we had in one place, because of the mountainous region and very specific skills that were needed for the upgrading, we have had failed bidding a third time. Now, this is something which we would like to avoid. And how do we actually get more of your firms interested in cultural upgrading and heritage restoration? Or if we were to look at tourism infrastructure, what would be the area that would come as expertise from your end? Are we missing something here? And how would you suggest that we actually package some of these? That would be interesting discussion for us. We have other aspects in housing, particularly where we would face limited land supply, and land pooling would be required. There would be more upstream work which needs to be done on the participatory planning and ensuring that if there are any relocations, we can address those. So that is where I think we are now heading in terms of the housing and tourism. A lot of the planning and standards are outdated. If we want to move forward into green finance, green housing, we have to also tackle the building codes. So while some of the countries like the Philippines would have good building codes, there's kind of lack of enforcement. So those are some of the aspects which we would like to deal with in our upstream work in the next 2 to 3 years. Finally, the other area where we would really look for consulting opportunities would come in terms of preparing integrated urban master plans, livable city action plans, green city action plans. And these would kind of have to weave in all of this together, because in some places we are being requested, like in the Uzbekistan project, we have mahallas which are being upgraded. At the same time, we also have tourism sites which are being upgraded. So this is where we need that mix of multi-sector skills and talents, which we are looking for you to bring to the table. And with that, I will just stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ramola, and all the panel members. May I request for a round of applause for all our panel members? Thank you so much. So you have listened to all the panel members. There's a lot of information, and I think everyone in the room has a lot of opportunity to participate in ADB finance projects. my planning was to maybe ask some of the questions from our panel member, but I think now in the interest of time, you have been listening from morning and now, so I would like now to open the floor for the questions. Please, if you have any question, come on the mic. Your name, company, and the question, please. No need to shy. Yeah, please.
Thank you for very comprehensive presentation from the panel. I'm from Laos. My concern is the PPTA, project preparation, and the design of the technical assistance. We have, consulting firms are, I think, struggling with the inputs or the times allocated to the consultant. Team leader, very limited. International consultants, the limited inputs of the international consultants are, we understand that, but limited inputs to the national consultants. Intermittent national consultants, for me, is very impractical. So the national consultant should be at least, sometime like 8 or 9 months a year or full-time, especially like deputy team leader, like monitoring and evaluation, social safeguard, agribusiness, something like that. The intermittent inputs of that kinds of national consultants are very risky, to implement the project and to lead the project. That is my concern. So today, the panel is here, and all these issues are already known by the panel, I think. And then for me, it's not question, but suggestion that for the future PPTA, to consider to give, more inputs to the national consulting team. And the projects are bigger and bigger. And I think the donors are considering they will use the technical assistance package. $10 million is the same package. $50 million projects, the same package. So it's better to go with $50 million or $100 million because the TA package will be the same. Something like that. So I think the donors are thinking in that way. But the bigger project, we need more technical assistance. And that's why it's very important for the successful project implementation. So the donors should consider to have the good technical packages. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this point. Very point well noted. And yes, this is a very valid point. We are short of technical assistance, and even for the mega projects, with the limited availability of the funds, it's really difficult to come up with the quality proposal and the project preparation. For that purposes, ADB has recently introduced the project readiness financing. So that tool is also available, but point well noted. Thank you very much. So do we have any other question? Yes. No. It's.
I can just shout. Okay, it works now. Hello, my name is Vera. I'm from Icarus. Thank you firstly for the interesting presentations. It's particularly interesting to hear about the emerging areas team and that the ADB is looking for consultants to contribute ideas and help develop this new portfolio of work. So I had the question of if there is a specific plan for how to engage with consultants for this purpose. Is that structured in some way, or is it up to us to approach you? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So Ramola, you are going to take?
Yeah. Do we want to collect a few questions?
No, I think we can go one by one. Thank you. It's working.
Yeah.
It's working.
Excellent question, and I think that is the purpose of having a business opportunities fair, is to engage and have discussions. I think this week I've had a lot of discussions. A lot of you have reached out, and we've discussed about ways that we can move forward. And there is no structured way, because definitely we will be putting together some regional technical assistance coming up next year. The reason for discussions and this kind of a forum is so that we can exchange ideas, we can understand what are your pain points, and we can try and address them. Like the gentleman just now raised, that it's a very valid point. Yes, you do need feet on the ground, and that is invaluable. So definitely, if there are something that you would like to suggest, please come up and have a chat with us. I'm available here. You can also send an email. We'll share our emails. We are always open to discussion. And if there are some new ideas, I mean, that is the other area that I would like to suggest, is if there's something new that you have done that is in the market, and you would like to present as a brown bag, which would be a good solution, we do welcome those kind of opportunities. So if there's a solution that you think is very good and applied in other countries, which is applicable to some of our countries, please do reach out, and we'll look through our various communities of practice, and we can invite you for a brown bag. We've established community of practice for tourism, for housing, for municipal finance. So definitely those are the avenues where we can exchange and brainstorm. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Ramola. Thanks for the question. Do we have more questions? Okay. While waiting for a question, do we have? Yeah, please.
Hi, afternoon. Thank you for the presentation and very informative shares to us. I'm Jessie, based in Singapore, but I'm currently a country manager of Vietnam market. I just want to give a feedback about ADB engagement, because several times we get the individual engagement as a consultant, and ADB put the contract in the way that you base on the mandate rate and award the project to the consultant. But in the scope, you include all the baseline survey or the site survey, which we need to engage lab, or we have to engage external parties and contractor to do the survey. So in the way that the contract arrangement is very difficult for consultant to cope with the scope required, and the scope is written in the way that you have to do everything. It's not specified what exactly you need to do on site and what you need to do in the office or desk base. So it's just a suggestion to improve on the procurement and the TOR terms and conditions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Point noted. Aimee, you want to take?
I just wanted to clarify. You wanted us to have the TORs more detailed because you find it a little bit vague and less instructive. Is that the comment? To provide more details. Yes?
I think what I understood the question was that maybe even if the assignment is designed for the individuals, but the scope of works looks like it is more towards for the engagement of the firm.
I
right?
see.
So then it
Okay.
becomes complicated, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which require the...
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So I do, okay. So that point is well noted. We need to prepare TORs that are parallel or commensurate to the capacity.
capacity
yeah.
and the scope of the work,
Yeah.
and then we
Okay.
should, the decision whether the TORs, we are looking for the individuals or the firm, so the TOR should decide. So technically speaking, what you are saying, it should not be the case. The individual's assignments are for which the individual can do themselves without the support of other group of the people or the other resources. That's how it should be designed. But point well noted, and I think we need to look into why we are doing this type of TORs, which should not be the case.
If I may just add
Yes.
to this, the kind of condition that you're talking about, there are certain times when you need, say, a participatory planning expert to conduct some surveys and others, and they can be outsourced, and there's a line where you can claim under the surveys and studies. So you can claim under that as long as the other firm that you're outsourcing it to can provide the receipts. So there are some conditions under which, but it needs to be clarified in your contract. I think that is the main point, that it needs to be very clear about what is expected, because you cannot physically conduct those household surveys, is what you're saying. Right.
If I could add, I guess
Yes.
it's also an opportunity to discuss it with the project officer that's dealing with your contract, because there could be other pools of resources that could assist with that issue if there's no means under the contract. So I think there's an opportunity to negotiate what's available to help deliver on the scope of the contract. It could be part of a larger, bigger picture rather than just this individual contract that may not have been clear in the TOR when it was advertised. Sometimes we make mistakes. We try not to, but we're certainly open to discuss and figure out ways to modify contracts.
Thank you, Jude and Ramola. Yes, please, sir.
Hi, my name is Mohammed Shahid Alvi. I am an independent consultant, institutional development and capacity development from Pakistan. I have a question related to capacity. Yes, we have an issue on ground, and I was the institutional guy for Trans-Karachi ADB funded project for 500 million and Peshawar as well, and we really struggle on the ground. Likewise in the PISP and KPCP as well. I have a suggestion one, when we design the project, like the TA and the other part, why don't we have very small component where we focus on building local capacity as well? I give example, like in Peshawar or in Karachi, this is a mega project, 500 million one. Nobody has BRT experience in Pakistan. So when we start construction, why don't we have maybe 500,000 USD or 1 million, where we bring young local graduate who work with the consultants and the client, and when we hand over those projects for the operating company, so at least they have the capacity on ground. So each time we don't need to parachute even the local people. And then when we have a phase 2 projects, so when we start like in the Peshawar phase 2 project, so we already know we build the capacity, so there's the people 2 or 3, 4 year experience who started from the inception till the construction and the final stage, so they can take over. Otherwise, we were talking back 4 years back, 5 years back, again we will come back. There's a capacity issue down there. Maybe we need to think a little bit out of the box to build the capacity. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. Anybody wants to take, or I can respond? Okay, I think this is a very valid point and genuine point. What happens in the capacity building, normally when we define the TORs for the, let's take in your example, the consultant TOR should have terms of reference which saying that they need to transfer the knowledge to the local people, to the executing agency, to the people who are working on the project. They should transfer the knowledge. So those options are there. In addition to that, I just want to give an example. In Pakistan, we are doing in education sector TWAT, where they are putting under the, we are proposing to, under the contractor's contract to put, they need to hire 2 young assistants, because it's a TWAT sector, to employ 2 or 3 students on the job to give them the training while working. They are students as well as working on the side. So there are different venues which we can explore project to project basis. But yes, as an overall global corporate basis, ADB does focus on the capacity building, because we do want to rely on the local resources. They are more economical and they know better than anybody else. So, and having the international consultant, the objective is to transfer the knowledge. And unfortunately, I would say it is not happening as it should have been. Thank you.
If I can also add to, it's a very good point and very valid. And what we've been trying to do, I'll give an example of what we've done in Georgia, was that the youth who are students actually did job shadowing with our consultants. And Niels is sitting there in front. You can probably have a coffee with him and ask him how that was done. But the students from ISEC Georgia and working with ADB's Youth for Asia, we managed to get the students to work with the urban planners, and they did GIS asset mapping. And that is the way to increase interest also. Urban planning is not a subject in Georgia, so now we are trying to work towards bringing a twinning program for masters in urban planning to Georgia with some other universities from Netherlands and other places. So I think it's a slow progress. We've done similar work in Mongolia as well, where the youth were involved, but also we brought in actual courses on urban planning. So definitely we are looking at connecting the dots and increasing the skills, but it's very valuable to understand that you also are looking at those aspects, and we appreciate that. We'll include more of those in our projects.
Thank you, Ramola. Yes, Apple, do we have time? How much time do we have? Can we? Okay, sorry. So I was reminded now that okay, so we don't have the time now, but this does not mean that you cannot ask the question. The panel members are here. They will remain here in ADB. You have their email address. The procurement colleagues are also around. I'm also from PPFD, Principal Procurement Specialist. So if you have procurement-related questions, you can come to the procurement colleagues. If you have the sector questions, you can direct to these people. And then as we have, in addition to these 4 panel members, there are a lot of bigger team in the urban sector. So please reach out to them and send us the questions if you have. Thank you so much for your active participation. Thank you.